Have you ever came back from the gym and was so tired that you just wanted to go to sleep, but couldn't because you had to record a video? Yeah, that's me right now. What's going on, everybody? It's Ndukauba, and today I want to come and talk to you guys about the top 5 characters I would like to see in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Now, I know a lot of people have already done this video on YouTube, but to my defense, I still haven't given you guys my personal top 5 list. And on top of that, I kind of want to give you guys a visual representation of why certain characters would work or why they would flow perfectly with the game. So within the video, I'm going to flow in like gameplay sessions from like other Dragon Ball games so you guys can hopefully see what I mean. But with that being said, let's get right into it. First character I would like to see is Bardock. Now, before I even get into my reasons, first and foremost, if Bardock isn't in the game, something is wrong, because Bardock has been a staple in Dragon Ball games since Budokai 3. Anyway, I would still like to see Bardock in the game. Now, one thing about Bardock is he's kind of a brute, so I see him working as a mid-range character only because of the fact that, yeah, he likes to get into CQC and fight the opponent up close and personal, but he does also have some moves where he can just back away and space his opponent out. And I think the best example for this is in Infinite World, where he has 2 moves that gives him that type of playstyle, which are Heat Flunks and Riot Javelin. So I can see that working really well. But another thing I would like to see Bardock have is his spin attack, which you guys know is a trademark attack that he did on Chilled during the Bardock special. So if they found a way to implement that into Dragon Ball FighterZ, that would be freaking awesome. There is one last thing I would like to see Bardock have, and that is the ability to transform into Super Saiyan. Now, the reason why I don't want him to start off on Super Saiyan is because Bardock really isn't like known as like, you know, being a Super Saiyan. Like when you think of Bardock, you usually think, you know, Planet Vegeta getting destroyed, you know, him going Kakarot as he's dying and whatnot. But, you know, you don't really think of the newer special that came out where he fought Chilled and turned into Super Saiyan. So I think to at least pay homage to that special, they should allow him to transform into a Super Saiyan, much like how Frieza turns into Golden Frieza in game, where it's a timed transformation. He gets slightly stronger and can put in a bit more work, but of course, like after it's gone, then it's gone for a while until you, I guess, meet the requirements again to transform again. Next on my list is Broly, which also he's the other staple character that should be in FighterZ because he's been in every Dragon Ball game since Budokai 3 as well. Anyway, I see Broly being a brute force with a large presence. And one thing I don't like as of late with Dragon Ball games is they managed to make Broly seem like a big guy, but at the same time, his presence isn't heavy. You know, like when the Z Fighters went and fought Broly, his presence was freaking enormous. You knew it was about to go down whenever he walked near you. But anyways, that's besides the point. Like, I really do see him being a brute force with a heavy presence somewhere along the mid-range because of the fact that he's a large character. And on top of that, some of the moves that he has as well kind of fits that bill. His main 2 close-up attacks would be Gigantic Omega or Gigantic Slam. And of course, his spacing move would be Blaster Shell. But even at that, there's not really much else to say about Broly except for the fact that he would be like the big guy of the roster. And he should be in because, again, like he's been in every Dragon Ball game since Budokai 3. But at the same time, it would feel weird not having him in the game when he's been in all the other games as well. Next on the list is Beerus, and everything down to his fighting style and his moves would flow so perfectly not only with this game, but it would look amazing in this art style. First and foremost, Beerus would have an acrobatic fighting style, only because of the fact that that's how he came off as in Battle of Gods. And of course, that's how it's implemented in games such as Extreme Butoden and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. So I find that unique because we don't really have like an acrobat fighting style in Dragon Ball. So it would be dope to see Beerus implement something like that in the game in maybe his light attacks or his heavy attacks. And of course, he does have his attacks that would actually flow well in the game, as well as with the art style, much like God of Destruction's Anger and God of Destruction's Wrath. I don't really see God of Destruction's Rampage really working in this type of game. I mean, if they could get it to work, then most definitely. But for the most part, I only see God of Destruction's Anger and Wrath working the best, only because of the fact that in Extreme Butoden, those 2 moves are in the game and they work fairly well. So again, if they could get God of Destruction's Rampage in, that would be awesome. but for right now, only Anger and Wrath are the ones that make the most sense. Now, this is something I really wanted to talk about concerning Beerus. Now, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, we all know that Android 16 has an insta-kill attack, which is his self-destruct. But I believe Beerus should also have an insta-kill attack. I mean, his ultimate attack, just a regular ultimate attack, should be Sphere of Destruction. However, I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to implement Hakai as an insta-kill attack. You can't tell me that if you're to see Beerus Hakai someone in Dragon Ball FighterZ, you would not get hype over that. That would be freaking phenomenal. Of course, with a move of that caliber, it should be high risk, high reward. Because with Android 16, when he uses his self-destruction, he is left with 1% of health left, and of course, if you get hit, he's dead. But of course, if you swap out, he does regenerate his health. Whereas with Beerus, he's not inflicting harm on himself. So I think it should be one, it should be like a level 5 attack, maybe level 7. And on top of that, you should be able to attempt to use it multiple times. And of course, if you miss, you can keep on going. But if you execute the attack, you can only use it once per battle, but you would have to have like maybe 50% health or lower to be able to use the attack because of how powerful it is. I think that's a fair trade-off for a move such as Hakai being in the game. And now we finally get to Hit. Now, without a single doubt, Hit would be a powerful short-range character. However, the downside is, with him having little to no long-range attacks, he would be extremely inviable in mid to long range. But I do think there are two moves that could potentially help him with his, I guess, range deficit. One being give Hit a counterattack. Now, we do know that in Dragon Ball FighterZ, Piccolo has a counterattack, but I see Hit needing one even more than Piccolo only because Piccolo does have the ability to fight at mid to long range, whereas Hit doesn't really have that option. So I see them giving him either any of the time skip moves that he has in Xenoverse 2 or Time Slip Sever, which is a counterattack he had in Dragon Ball Fusions. So I really want him to have a counterattack. He needs something, so that way if the opponent rushes him down, he can fend for himself instead of him having to rush right into the fray all the time and end up getting punished for it. Or the other option being give Hit Shockwave. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what that is, Shockwave, or at least for Hit, is where he punches through the air and into primarily the heart range of his opponent. That's the main tactic he uses to KO his opponents or at least kill his targets. Now, he's only used that move twice in Dragon Ball Super. Once against Goku, and the other time against a Pride Trooper named Kunshi. And from every time we've seen that move be used, we know that it's an extremely powerful long-range attack. It was enough to completely stop Goku's heart, and it was enough to bring Kunshi down with just one hit. So I see that being a very viable long-range attack for Hit in particular, so that way he has a decent balance between long and close range. And this last character is a personal favorite of mine, like one that really has not seen the spotlight since Raging Blast 2. But I gotta see my boy Pikkon, man. Pikkon makes the most sense to be in this game because it's a 2.5D fighter and he's just a martial artist that has some special abilities. It makes sense. Knowing Pikkon, he would definitely be a short-range character. However, I do see him having two solid moves, one for mid-range and one for short-range, that would give him a solid balance in battle. One being Burning Shoot, where he dashes at the opponent in flames and practically kicks them out of the way, and of course, his trademark Hyper Tornado, which will be right in front of the opponent and execute it, doing a few multi-hits in the process while bringing your opponent into the air for a potential follow-up. And last but not least, we all know what his ultimate attack would be, none other than Thunder Flash. There's no other move that could potentially take that slot except for Thunder Flash. And of course, in that art style, oh, it would look amazing. And that's all I've got, guys. And honestly, it took me a while to make this list because I knew of characters I would like to see and characters that would more than likely be in the game. And then, of course, like my personal favorites, like I would have loved to see Future Gohan get in the game, or Super Gogeta, or somebody along those lines. But I know like what I would like to see and what realistically has a chance of being in the game are, of course, two completely different things. So I had to cut all of my personal favorites aside, except for Pikkon, and try to flow them into, I guess, what would more than likely work in Dragon Ball FighterZ. But anyways, again, that's my personal top 5 list. and I know for a fact you guys have your own lists as well, so let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, I'm Ndukauba, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But seriously though, like, our system works. If you guys so happen to come across this video and make it to the end, a personal request from me to you guys, I mean, if y'all could, for real, you know, add Pikkon into the game, that would be much appreciated. Like, that's my boy, and he hasn't seen the spotlight since Raging Blast 2, so I need him to come back, bruh. I need him to come back.